What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ronnie Haskins. We're talking about cars again, and today the simple topic is you will always have a car payment. You're just calling it something different. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to go through my thoughts on this, and remember, this video is not for everybody. I mean, some folks out there pay cars off, have no payments for a long time, or they write checks for cars and they have no payments for a long time. I'm here to tell you, you still have payments, and I'm going to show you some examples. You do with it as you wish, and we're going to start right now. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're talking about, car payments, lack thereof, not having car payments, things that you always have to deal with during your life if you're driving a vehicle, and different thoughts on people paying off cars and then not having a car payment for a while, and what that really looks like and the surprise numbers behind it. So we're going to talk about that today. And I've got a guest coming on, Bonnie Simon. She's going to give us a little input on how she feels about it as well. She's been working here for a while, so she's going to drop some knowledge on us as well. So anyhow, first I want to start out with some facts that I've learned over the past couple of years. There are auto loans now that go out to 96 months. During this entire pandemic thing, you see 0% up to 84 months, 72 months, 60 months. Whoever the manufacturer is, you can dig around on the internet and find some 0% deals. If you go talk to your credit union or your bank, they have loans that go 60 months, 66, 72, 75, 84. It seems to be getting longer as the cars get more expensive because people want to keep payments in a certain range. And you see that stuff, right? Now, one of the facts I want to point out is that most people keep these loans no matter how long they sign up for them for 30 to 32 months. It's a very short period of time. It's about 3 years. So no matter if you sign up a loan for 84 months, the odds of you keeping it for 84 months are very, very slim. Now, you may find yourself being the exception to that rule. However, I'm telling you now, based on credit unions that do hundreds of millions of dollars in loans per year, the average is about 30 to 32 months. So earmark that, write that down, and wow, most people in society are keeping cars 30 to 32 months. The other fact I'd like to point out to you is that there is a very, very small percentage of people who write checks for cars. So they'll purchase vehicles just taking money out of their bank account, not using a home equity loan, not using any type of funding but their own. So they've saved up enough money to purchase the car they want. They'll write a check for it. Now, you think that's the end of it, but I'm telling you, I'm going to show you in a little bit how they're still going to have a payment. But in the beginning, they write a check, they make one payment, they have no payments on that car at all. All right, so I've got those facts out of the way. Let me point out now exactly what I'm talking about when I'm going to tell you you're going to have a car payment no matter what you do. You're just calling it something else. Let's take me for an example, or let's use emergency spending for an example. How many of you out there have had a car that you paid off in 5 years? Now we're out of warranty completely, and you don't have a payment. That car might even be a Toyota or a Lexus or a Honda or something that all of us would say is a very reliable car. But after you have paid it off in 5 years and you have no payments, you are in fact out of warranty. So what does that do? It leaves you very, very open for emergency spending. Have you ever had a car and all of a sudden it was making a noise and you had to take it into the shop and you were going to go spend $500 doing something else, but now you've got to spend that $500 fixing your car? Happens all the time. If it's $500, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if you're looking at a transmission or you're looking at an engine or something major, it could be thousands of dollars. I just want to let you know, emergencies find a way of taking money out of your pocket with the quickness. It's written in all kinds of books. If you have money that you're keeping on hand, emergency funds, backup spending, discretionary income, emergencies find a way to get that money out of your pocket like that. How many of you have kids? They always have some type of emergency, or pets. You have a pet at home, they got to go into the emergency hospital, $1,800 later, boom, emergency money comes right out of your pocket. That's the same thing that happens with cars. And, people usually don't quantify that. It's just, like I said, they're calling it something else. They think they don't have a car payment, but they're willing to continuously spend emergency money on their vehicle whenever they have some type of a breakdown. Now, here's something I'm going to do. I don't usually do, but this is my own personal example. I have a vehicle that I've owned for cash for a long period of time. It's a Suburban. We use it. I drive it about 2,000 miles a year. It pulls the camper, it pulls the boat. we go skiing in it. That type of a vehicle that's very difficult to replace without spending 60 grand. So we're like, okay, let's just drive this car for a while. We don't have a payment on it. Okay, great. So over the last 24 months, I calculated that I've spent about $8,000 on that vehicle in repairing it. I'm not talking about maintenance. I'm not talking about oil changes and tire rotations and stuff like that. I'm talking about repairs that have to be done to keep the vehicle on the road. One of the things was tires, $800. The other thing was seals. All the seals started leaking underneath, so I went ahead and got all of them replaced, and it was $2,000. Then we had a rear end problem. The back rear differential had an issue, so I had to get it rebuilt. That cost $2,700. Most recently, it had an AC compressor that went out, and over several fixes, they finally figured that out. So I had spent $1,000 here, $500 there, and then ultimately spent another $1,300. So I have all these things that have happened to this car over the last 2 years that have added up to $8,000. Now here's the thing. No car payment, I own it, I have the title. But if you divide 8,000 by 24, it equals $333 a month. That is a car payment. I'm just calling it something different. Follow what I'm saying? So the next time you're driving your car and you don't have a payment on that particular car, make sure you're quantifying, okay, what does the transmission cost on this car? It's 5 years old. I should maybe look it up on Google, or I should call a shop, and then maybe have at least a credit card ready to pay for that. Because at some point you may have that type of an issue. And I'm also not saying go to fear and that you need to be doing payments on everything or leasing. All I'm saying is you think you don't have a payment, but you actually do. And once you realize that, paying $333 on a Suburban over 2 years will not buy a new one. But as that number keeps eking up to $400 and $500, then it's time to start looking at something else and going ahead and leasing another Suburban or buying another car. Now, another thing that goes on, you know, I've been in the game a long time doing cars. People love to buy reliable cars. So you may be one of those that purchases a Toyota or a Honda or a Lexus, something like that that tends to last a long time, right? Well, one of my top employees, Bonnie Simon, she's going to shed some light on her experience with her own Toyota. And she's got another Toyota now. However, it just didn't last forever. So Bonnie, share some information with these guys on having a reliable car and how long that lasts.
So I'm Bonnie, and I'm the person who used to own the reliable car. I mean, I still have reliable cars, but a lot of times people will come in and they'll say to me, well, I'm going to get a Toyota or Honda or, you know, any one of those brands that have really reliable reputations, and I'm going to keep it forever because those cars never break. And I tell them this story, that the reality of a good reputation for a car company is that, yeah, statistically their cars don't break down as much as other cars break down, but any given car could break down. Like, any given car is going to be an exception at some point because it's still a car. There's nothing magic about something being well built. It's still a machine, and parts of it sometimes break down. And the reason that I know this is because I've almost always owned Hondas and Toyotas, and I keep them for a while. And usually at about 7 years, I find that it starts to have emergency breakdowns, that various things start to happen. The exhaust system gives me problems, or there's some sort of random problem in the engine, and it takes a while to fix it because it's an old car at that point. So I've even had to go to before my late husband passed away, we would just use his car, but I had to get a second vehicle so that I could get to work, because sometimes my car would sometimes just spend 3 days in the shop. Now, it was a Toyota, and was it a reliable, great car? Absolutely. I really like those cars, and I continue to buy them. However, do they never break down? No. It's still a car. It's not going to be some kind of magical device that just never has a problem.
Thank you, Bonnie, for shedding some light on that subject. I like reliable cars as well, guys. Used to work for Honda. I know all of these things. These cars just don't last forever. And I'm saying all these things in this video today so you can challenge your own thinking and start looking at your cars a little bit differently. If you're saving money right now to go on a trip or go to Disney when they open back up, think about what you're driving. Think about making sure you get that car maintained and quantify those numbers. Calculate what you're spending on your vehicle every month. There's another thing I'd like to ask you. So, you know, people that I sell cars to will tell me, hey, I'm going to do a 72-month loan. I'm going to pay the car off early. And they'll have like a $500 payment. And everybody, most of us are like, I'm going to pay this car off early because I want to save on interest. I want to make sure I get it paid off. And I've given you the facts earlier, right? Only 30 to 32 months is the typical time people keep cars. But if you are one of those that pays it off, here's my challenging question for you. If you're spending $500 a month on that vehicle, you pay it off early, what are you going to do with the $500 every month after the car is paid off? It's a rhetorical question, but it does require some thought. You know, answers that are acceptable are, well, I'm going to up my investing every month by $500, or I'm going to divert that $500 a month and pay off a credit card and snowball that debt away. Keep in mind, you're still going to need an emergency fund for your car if you're going to own it outright and keep it for a long period of time. But there are things that we have to keep doing to grow, to make sure that we're diverting our money in the right direction to keep us moving in a straight path. But cars is one of those things that is very difficult to win this. So let me summarize a little bit. You know, you have a car payment whether you like it or not, and you just have to go back and calculate all your repairs and divide it by 12. Most people, it's around $250. If you're unlucky, it could be $400 or $500. But most of us have a car payment. We're just calling to something else. It's time to write down those repair bills, keep those receipts, look at where your money's going, because this $300 and $400 and $500 you spend here and there adds up to $8,000 pretty quickly. I'm the example, right? The other thing to summarize is that people usually only keep their cars 30 to 32 months. So if you've never considered leasing, you should probably at least look at it. Not, even if it's not with me, look at it with wherever you are in the country. Take a look at it to see if it's something that might fit your lifestyle. We've got plenty of other videos for you guys to check out in the car buying tips and other sections of the channel. Also, it's July 4th weekend. Be safe out there. Have a great time. Talk to you soon.